Hey, peace, peace. What's happening, everyone? Well, now deal with.
Recognize royalty. Recognize it. Recognize royalty. Gotta recognize it. Recognize royalty. Like they ain't got eyes to recognize royalty.
Yeah. Once again, peace. You know the routine. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. All right, let's get into this. I have been really interested in this whole Ibrahim Traoré scenario and everything that's going on around him. I am really interested in everything that's going on in West Africa. This is my second Ibrahim Traoré video. When you get a chance, please try to watch the first video. That video is entitled should Black people in the diaspora support Ibrahim Traoré? He has full support, it appears, of Black people in the diaspora, and the support for him is not like anything I've seen before. It's really amazing to see how Africans and Africans in the diaspora are really rallying behind him.
We are here today as African descendants in the diaspora. We are here supporting and our African leaders coming together in one unity to show love, to show peace, to show joy and happiness to Mother Africa. The work of our leaders must take a page out of Ibrahim Traoré's book that he have written now, The Changing of the Guard, to liberate our motherland.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, in the first video that I did about Traoré, I spoke about the idea, which is that, the reason Black people are supporting him so much is just because of what you just heard. The idea is that they're trying to liberate Africa. They're liberating Africa from the West. They're liberating Africa from the white man. And that is really the attraction to Ibrahim Traoré. That's what he represents, a liberation from the white man. In the first video I did, my main question was, are they really liberating Africa from the white man, when pretty much all Traoré seems to have done is that he replaced the French with the Russians. The main thing he's done is that he's replaced the French with the Russians. So my question is he really liberating Africa from the white man? And why do we not view what's going on with Russia, with Russia taking over the gold mines? Russia pretty much has contracts to the gold mines the same way the French do, or the French did. And so, my concern is Africa really being liberated, or are they simply replacing one white man with another white man? And so for those reasons, I've been skeptical about, what's really going on in Burkina Faso, and exactly what are we supporting? Like, Black people in the diaspora, what is the main idea that we are supporting when we throw our support with Traoré and Burkina Faso? And I want to talk about that a little bit more today, because it's becoming a little more apparent to me exactly what we're being asked to support. And what we are being asked to support is literally a move away from democracy. The liberation from the West appears to now be a liberation from democracy. And we are being asked to embrace authoritarian rule. And that is even more amazing to me, is that in today's age, we find, or we're being asked to see the idea of civilian rule and rule of the people as a white man idea and a white man philosophy, and something that is anti-African and that does not gel with the African spirit or with the spirit of Africans.
Do you believe in the leadership of His Excellency Ibrahim Traoré?
Yeah, I believe because you said that there are no country who develop under democracy. That is the truth. That's the real truth. Because if you see, you see those Middle East country,
Yeah.
there are no democracy there. People, they are doing things according to their culture and the way they think and the way they do things. We are not European, we are African, and we must do everything based on our culture, based our mindset, our own mindsets. You don't need to copy other people.
Yeah, so, as you heard, the idea is that Africans don't need to copy Europeans. They don't need to copy European democracy. Democracy goes counter to the African mindset and to the African culture. And that seems to be the idea that's being pushed. In the first video I did, I mentioned that I couldn't support, that I was finding it hard to support what was happening in Burkina Faso because Ibrahim Traoré came to power through a coup. And he still has not chosen to go back to civilian rule. But given what I'm hearing here, it doesn't seem as if he intends to go back to civilian rule, because the message that's being sent is that democracy itself is a European idea and a European philosophy that does not work for Africa, and that Africa is better off, Africans are better off under authoritarian rule or under the rule of a dictator. And so I am really shocked that this is the direction that we're going in, where we are now turning our backs on democracy and being more embracing of the ideas of authoritarian rule, military rule. And the fact is that we are now being told that rule of the people and the ideas of democracy and having elections is not what is in the best interest of African people. And that is something that I'm really having a hard time wrapping my head around, and I'm really surprised that Black people in the diaspora, Black people in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, in Europe, in America, are really embracing this new trend of, doing away with democracy.
They always talk about the village, the chiefs of the village. And forever, we always talk about kings and queens. Even here, we talk about kings and queens a lot. I'm going to tell you why we say that. I'm going to even tell you why they still have the village and the chiefs or whatever. The original government that we as Black people, Africans, Caribbeans, whatever, the only government we really thrive under is governments that are ran by one central figure. We have not really thrived as a people underneath white-ran, white-inspired democracy. That don't work. It don't even work in this country, right? Think about it.
So again, the liberation that we're seeing in Burkina Faso, the liberation that's being brought in by Ibrahim Traoré, is a liberation from democracy, because democracy just doesn't work for Black people. And it makes sense. That would make sense because he refuses to go back to civilian rule. And it, doesn't appear as if he wants to go back to civilian rule, because the message being sent to his people is that democracy is of the white man, and it is what's holding Africa back, is democracy. And so why would someone who's giving out that message ever return to civilian rule?
They claim that the government's by the people for the people, but we all see that our government is literally captured by the oligarchy, right? The bankers, the people who run the super PACs, all your billionaire class. They literally capture all our politicians and running it. The people don't have no say so.
And Russia isn't run by an oligarchy? I'll have to kind of do a little more research on that, but I do believe the oligarchy is pretty strong in Russia. But I digress. The message being sent is literally that the people in a country have more say-so about what goes on in a country in a dictatorship than in a democracy. Like, that is literally the message that is being sent. And it makes sense why Traore would be, partnering with countries like Russia and China, who aren't really, democratic countries. They're just not really democratic. And so we see that with China and Russia taking a foothold in Africa, we realize that a part of that is in bringing down democracy or crushing the idea of civilian rule. And again, is this really what we're being asked to support?
Versus, let's say, when you have someone that has a government, like when you say king and queen, that means one central figure. Well, when you have one central figure, they can't be captured by the billionaire class or oligarchy or whatever, right? They can't. And the white man hates those kind of governments. He hates them. He calls them dictatorships. He'll say they're communists. He'll say all kind of names to demonize one central figure, right? Now, China, even though they kind of got a government, but President Xi Jinping is the central figure of that government. They don't really buck against him because he gonna do what he want. Kind of like Russia has a government, yeah, on paper, but Vladimir Putin, President Putin, he's the central figure. Nobody not really gonna buck against him too much, right? Or it may be hell to pay for doing that.
And why wouldn't there be hell to pay for bucking against Ibrahim Traoré? Why would we be surprised when everyone in Burkina Faso supports Traoré? Is that just them not bucking against him because they know there would be hell to pay? But even more importantly, though, and I'm going to keep reiterating this, are we really in the West, are Black people in the West really being asked to dump the idea of democracy and embrace the idea of dictatorships? Are we really convinced that being under authoritarian rule is how Black people strive? That Black people do not strive unless they're under authoritarian rule, because, our history goes back to kings and queens. And that when we refer to ourselves as kings and queens, we are just bringing back our subconscious love for being under a dictatorship. Is that really what we are being asked to believe? And is that really what we are telling ourselves? Are we aware that that's what we are being asked to do? I'm not so sure that we're aware that that's what we're being asked to do. I hope we don't realize that that's what we're being asked to do, And even more, I hope, I sincerely hope that once we realize that's what we're being asked to do, that we would walk away from that, that we would say, no, we value democracy, and that we're not going to say democracy is bad simply because it's a white man thing, and that we shouldn't copy the white man. That just seems so irresponsible to me. And I don't know if that's something I will ever be able to support.
So, but you see how those countries are ran versus how our country is ran. Or look at all the so-called Western countries, right? When I mean Western, I mean white ran, like your Canada, all the EU countries, all of them. They're supposed to have a democracy, and look how they all falling apart.
So the message seems pretty clear. Countries in the West are falling apart because of democracy. And so we need to go back to our roots and embrace these authoritarian, communist, dictatorship types of governments. That seems to be the clear message that we're being asked to support when we're being asked to support Ibrahim Traoré and what's going on in Burkina Faso. That's what we're being asked to support when we are being asked to liberate ourselves from the white man, to liberate ourselves from the West, and to liberate ourselves from democracy. We need to be more embracing of authoritarianism.
I'm just saying, because even in America, let's think about it in Black America too. Think about when we did the best. We did the best when we was on our own, when we always said that when we had fathers in the household, which is the first rulership, is a father in the household, and the father being the central figure, and the father being the leader, like God said the father should be in a household, right? Notice how we did so much better when we actually worked together like that with a family. And what's the first thing these people try to do? Break up our family so you don't have the father as the central figure and the leader of our household. That's where it starts at first.
So embracing Ibrahim Traoré means embracing the idea of having our father back in our household. That's what's been missing from the African American experience, and that's what's making the African and African American experience not what it should be, because we need to go back to our father, Ibrahim Traoré, and other dictators. But if we are going to support, even if we say we support what Ibrahim Traoré is doing in Burkina Faso, what happens when he's no longer there? What happens when he cannot rule anymore and another dictator comes in that we may not love so much? What happens when an older, because we love him because he's young, what about when he gets old and we don't appreciate him anymore? What are we going to do? Are we going to just have to live with him? What happens when someone else takes his spot? When we get a new dictator, because he can't be dictator forever. What happens when we don't appreciate this new dictator? Are we going to go back to a democracy? Or are we going to try and do a coup to bring in a new dictator that we love? Is that really what we want to be going back to? Is that the type of governance that we want in this day and age? Again, I'm just at a loss for words as to why we would support this. And I think the only reason we would support it is because the idea of a liberated Africa is something that we've dreamt of forever. The idea of getting away from the white man is just something that really entices us. And, that's really at the root of it, is our ages-long fight against slavery, colonialism, getting away from the white man. That's really what it's about. But again, I think it's a farce, because of getting rid of the white man, because we're not really getting rid of the white man. We're replacing one white man with another white man. And what we're ultimately getting away from is democracy. And, you know, people in the West, Black people in the West, we should really, you know, think about if democracy is something we want to get away from. It's not something I'm ready to get away from at all. It's not something don't think I'll ever be ready to get away from. The idea of a democracy in order to be a part of a Russia and China-like communist authoritarian state. Because, you know, we have to be aware of what comes along with a democracy. When we're asked to do away with democracy, we're also being asked to do away with all the rights that come along with the democracy. The right to free speech, freedom to own property, freedom to own a gun to protect yourself, freedom of the press. And, you know, are we as people that live in America and in the West in general, are we really willing to give up those freedoms, which again, I believe are freedoms that we truly value? And I'm just not convinced that we are aware that those are the freedoms we're being asked to give up when we're being asked to give up the idea of a democracy, because it is not of Africa. I just don't believe that we are aware that those are the things that we're being asked to sacrifice. And I'm definitely not willing to sacrifice those things. I don't care if it comes from the West. I don't care if those things come from the white man. Those are things that I value regardless of who came up with those concepts. And those concepts are just they mean too much to humanity, I think, for us to be so willing to give them up for someone who I just don't think is worthy of that type of sacrifice. Not the military ruler. That's just ludicrous to me. And so for that reason, I'm a hard no. I'm a hard no on supporting what's going on in Burkina Faso with Ibrahim Traoré. You know, I just would have to be. Yeah, so that's about what I wanted to say for this video. Again, it matters, it helps, so please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit notification. Be notified of new videos and whenever I go live. Blessings to you. Thank you for sharing your time with me. And you done know. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
I want you to listen very, very carefully.
It's all about life in the street. People are suffer, try survive in the heat. Bad mind them up to one, hygiene a do it. That's why enough of dead, yeah, rifle a beat. Everybody want big ups and want to drive in a Jeep. Every day I'm at the ball when she buy in a read. Not even 5 days, you can't find for the week. Me no see no changes, the same cycle repeat. Give thanks cause life it's a sweet. But keep an eye open every time you go sleep. Cause mankind jealous and them idle go late. Them never yet plant and not try figure rape. Bigger heads where you fight for the sake. Now care about the future nor the child where you creep. Them a pray the fat Kyle we submit. The system will slide where you fit.
In the streets so we born and grow. Only Jah know and nobody know.
When we talk about ghetto life, talk about ghetto life, ghetto life.
Everybody a priest say them want it though. That's why them a speed and they pan the go.
Cause this a real ghetto life, ghetto life. This a real ghetto life, ghetto life. Yeah, 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 yeah. Everybody just a pre-success. When me looking at the street, you me see enough stress. Them all a fight people who reach up next. Everybody want floss and a beat up chest. Juvenile in a them teen love sex. Them a breed the fast money, them no need subjects. And if you're unfortunate, please don't vex. Also the thing said cause the streets don't rest.
In the streets so we born and grow. Only Only Jah know and nobody know.
When we talk about ghetto life, talk about ghetto life.
Everybody a priest, say them want the dough. That's why them a speed and they pan the go.
Cause this a real ghetto life. This a real ghetto life. Yeah. It's all about life in the street. People are suffer, try survive in the heat. Bad mind them out to one, hygiene a do it. That's why enough of them, yeah, rifle a beat. Everybody want the ghost, I want to drive in a Jeep. Every day I'm at the ball when she buy in a read. Not even 5 wheels, you can't find for the week. Me no see no changes, the same cycle repeat. Give thanks cause life it's a sweet. But keep a eye open every time you go sleep. Come mankind jealous and them idle go live. Them never yet plant and not try figure rape. Bigger heads where you fight for the seed. Now cater about the future nor the child where you creep. Them a pray the fat Kyle was on it. The system will slide where you fit.
In the streets where we born and grow. Only Jah know and nobody know.
When we talk about ghetto life, talk about ghetto life.
Everybody a priest, say them want the dough. That's why them a speed and they pan the go.
Cause this a real ghetto life. This a real ghetto life. Yeah.